Okay. Folks, this is the Chad Factor. How's everybody doing today? I did a show recently and my recording was I did record it, but things got pretty crazy. So now I am doing this small thing and I want to kind of recap what I talked about. I talked about a 17-year-old girl murdering her parents. They did an investigation from February to July, and I deemed her as a deranged white kid or DWK, just like we always say YNs, young jiggas. So, what do you think about my term, and what do you think about that case, Cap?
All hail the Chad, first and foremost. I think that is a very appropriate term for anyone who would murder her parents. And I think it falls right in that trend of what we're seeing nationally. Think about the white kid who ambushed the firefighters after setting a wildland fire.
Yep, just heard about that one. Yep.
Think about Dylan Roof, Peyton Gendron, the Buffalo supermarket mass murderer.
In New York.
We got a lot of them who blow fuses and blow fuses in plain sight. But for various and sundry reasons, nobody wants to identify them the way other populations screw ups are identified. My point is stop the predator, regardless of pigmentation.
Thank you. And Dylan Roof is a case because it really could have been prevented because there were so many stuff that happened. He told friends that he wanted to do things. He wanted to. So Dylan Roof really could have been prevented, arrested several times for misdemeanors and in and out of jail. So I wish the law enforcement police would have done something when they could have.
I mean, when he submitted his information for the background check to purchase the weapon, he should have been disqualified. Now, call it a cosmic coincidence or collusion. Take your pick. But he was not supposed to be able to legally purchase a firearm, but he was. And the investigation revealed that, oops, somebody made a mistake.
But you can't buy a gun for misdemeanor. I thought it was a misdemeanor though. Was it a misdemeanor or a felony?
Yeah, if I believe correctly, if I recall, a drug felony. But he had a disqualifying conviction on his record
Okay.
that should have prohibited him from purchasing a firearm. But once again, when the threat comes in one type of packaging, people will deny the obvious. Think about the trench coat mafia. you know.
Right. The Columbine shooters try to mimic them.
Mm-hmm. Think about, as a matter of fact, the shooter at the private school in Nashville.
The transgender shooter, I forgot her name, but
she whose manifesto would never be revealed. Yes.
no, some of it was revealed though. Some of her stuff was revealed thanks to a national office. Like I think 2 or 3 pages of it was revealed, and they were trying to get the person who revealed it. But it's like, good. I'm glad they revealed it. So,
but not the entirety of it.
yeah.
Not like everybody else. So if we're going to really create safety in society, it can't be only against certain ethnicities or only certain ideologies. It's got to be universal. If you present a threat to yourself or people around you, regardless of your demographic information, action will have to be taken. And we're not talking about a sledgehammer, because some people are just acting out because they need attention. They've got either narcissism or some legitimate trauma, and is causing them to engage in behaviors that are troubling, but not necessarily threatening. And then you've got people who authentically make threats, continue to make threats, keep making threats, and sometimes that folks buy them weapons knowing that they have an unstable temperament, and then after the critical incident happens, everybody throws their hands up.
Yep.
Yes, I just don't understand how Little Biff went on this mass murder spree. I'm so surprised.
And there was just a shooting in Carrollton and near Cartersville last year, so it's kind of coming close to my old stomping ground, which is pretty crazy. But the reason why I'm attached to this girl that killed her parents is it happened in a place I lived for 6 years. I know the road where they were on, but also it's just that, as someone who has driven in Carrollton, Georgia, has did lived, I've talked to the kids, I've talked to a lot of the people down there, and people having that mindset of killing your parents is just, and then the same Children of the Corn person, okay, demonic person, uh, 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 cried on TikTok and actually cried at the funeral. She was actually speaking at the funeral, trying to fake it. So that's sick.
Yeah, the Menendez brothers. Remember, they murdered their parents and then cried about how now they were orphans.
I don't even know that case, but I'm going to look up that case tonight.
Oh yeah, you love them. Two real sickos. But the purpose of this particular segment is safety isn't ideological. So when people are presenting what are known as threat indicators, it doesn't matter what your belief system is. Just make sure you adopt tactics to say this is an individual that is giving every sign of preparing or wanting to harm people.
Yep.
I need to either avoid this person, or if this is a family member or a spouse, I may need to seek professional assistance, but action needs to be taken. What you don't want is, after blood is spilled, to be standing there saying, well, he did do such and such, and she was saying such and such, but I just didn't take action because I didn't think anything was going to happen.
Thank you. Now on the Texas situation, I said it on the other podcast. It's past 100, and what were you saying about it when we're talking about Katrina versus this, the people dying? What would you say again about the comparison?
I mean, what makes this one tragedy different from the other tragedy is the short timeline. The fact that this happened so rapidly and the proximity to an open river. No dam, no flood protection, no levees, just open space for the water to rampage through. And in this instance, tragically go through a summer camp as well as many occupied homes in a matter of what, an hour?
An hour or 2 hours, yep.
Okay, an hour or 2 hours. With very little advance warning. Now,
and then warn them at 1 or 2 a.m., but it's already too late. And they weren't going to wake up.
And again, the exhaustive investigation is going to lay all this out for people to draw their own conclusions. But as you know, in the wake, big events, big mouths start talking. And there are people who are offering all kinds of theories, including your buddy, Charlie Kirk, with 3 Ks, blaming
DEI with no proof.
Mess up, you got to blame a brother. That's Charlie's factory setting. Can't help himself. Waiting to see if Brandon Tatum is going to say, I saw somebody black underneath the mud there. It must be his fault. What you think, boss?
Yeah, and the thing about it is, DEI, is mostly supported, mostly white women specifically benefit, right? So I don't know if you're coming in that context, and there are white men who are calling that out, Steven Crowder, other people, but you can't keep saying, and there are some black people that do benefit, but I'm saying the majority is white women, whether it's DEI or affirmative action, benefit from this. Are there cases where black people and non-white people benefit? But yes, I can agree with that. But in DEI, that's no, like stop.
I've yet to see a smear campaign interrupted because of facts or diplomacy. People smear because they hate those they're smearing. They want them to be presented in the worst possible fashion. In tearing them down, they hope to elevate themselves. Very simple dynamic. Everybody knows how it goes. But bottom line is, we've had a tragedy of almost unprecedented magnitude, particularly in an era where there's supposed to be such a predictive technology. So I am looking at this tragedy, calling it what I can, as we all have to prepare, because it's not an overstatement to say you don't know what a day is going to bring you. And like we said last segment, some parents drop their kids off and expected that at the end of the scheduled time, they were going to come back, bring the child home.
And that was it. But it wasn't. Yep. A lot of children died. A lot of people became parentless. A lot of people became orphanless. Like I said, a man broke the glass and cut his arm. So it's just tragedy all the way around. And yes, it's the weather, things bad happen, but I do blame them for not having these alerts. They should have had sirens to warn people 2 hours at a time when they knew it was going to rain like this. Like you said, people are celebrating this because some of them are Trump supporters. Destiny, the cuck dude, made a stupid tweet about it. It's a whole bunch of people celebrating being stupid. And like I said, Republicans do some bad stuff too. I always negate that. I'm gonna pivot to that in a minute. But like I said, I understand why people do not want these leftists or people in power, because these people are deranged, celebrating that bull crap, celebrating what's going on in Texas. Rest in peace to all the young girls. Go ahead, Cap.
Yeah, some folks live for thank you, clicks, likes, donations, and the hope of being a big name influencer. The fact that this is the worst tragedy, or one of the worst tragedies of the century, is immaterial to them.
Yeah, they said it's worse than Colorado. I didn't know Colorado, but Colorado had a disaster some years ago. And it was like 144.
Yeah. Sadly, I wouldn't be surprised, hopefully not, but I wouldn't be surprised if this tragedy doesn't hit or exceed 200 people.
Let's hope not, but it might be that case. It might, and a lot of people say this is similar to what happened in my state in East Tennessee between Asheville, North Carolina here, about when it swept them, about the rains and the people dying. So it's crazy that we're already getting that toll now, but it might get more, like you said, and that's like, and a lot of them might be children. That's really, really sad, dude.
This is why we got to try as best we can to keep it classy as we respond to breaking events, political debate, and of course, heated arguments. And I'm the first to raise both hands to say that, hey, I know how easy it is. As a person who spent a lifetime fighting, I know how easy it is to get into situations. So look at some of these stupid comments that have come out after this tragedy and resolve not to be that guy.
Thank you. So I'm going to pivot to my next thing that we talked about last, and I'm just going to start off. I didn't start off like this on other thing, but I want Republicans to not be on the Republican plantation. And what I mean by that is praising the government, i.e. police, to such a teeth, bowing down to Israel and being whipped into submission into bowing down to Israel. And with this Epstein thing right now, saying that there are no client lists. There's no pedophile ring, even though we spent years, Don Bongino, Cash, and pathetic Pam, the real DEI hire, Pam. She the real Charlie Kirk, if you're listening, she the real DEI hire. That's the real DEI hire, Pam.
I find it very hard to believe that she is the United States Attorney General.
So that's the real DEI hire.
For plastic surgery, yes. For another show. Continue, please.
But anybody that's falling for it and trying to kind of say I trust them still, you're being part of the cult. You're not the people who are holding him accountable who at least want to get Pam fired. You're cool. I'm pretty much saying that I'm at a point where I'm going to give up if no one gets fired and vote because this is disgusting. So what do you think of this whole thing with them denying the DOJ denying all this? So let me give you your thoughts again.
I can understand the Republican urge to fire people. Republicans seem to enjoy watching people get terminated, but they're not acting autonomously. The assumption is that this is coming from the top. So if the big guy, the president, is saying thus and so, they carry out that directive. Will MAGA, Will Trumpers put pressure on the president going into what looks to be a highly contested midterm election season, put pressure on him to release all of this? Is the juice worth the squeeze? If he does so, and it destroys any number of high-profile Republicans and Democrats in virtually every sector, was it worth it? If it plunges the country into even greater chaos, because a feeding frenzy from that would make the summer of love and some of these battles we've seen in Trump 2.0 over deportation might make those look like Pop Warner events.
And that's a good question. Is it worth it? And I say it is at this point because I don't want to be run by pedophiles. So
that's the point. You know, if you're for a lot of folks now, they're absolutist about children. Like, hey, that's a line they can't cross. But as we discussed last segment, Trump is a pragmatist, and a couple of theories out there that there is damning information on a lot of high-profile politicians and donors and similar types, and he's able to leverage that now to explain all these victories he's had since his since he won. Or another school of thought says that he's compromised in it.
yes. And then you like you said, you brought up last time of why didn't Biden use it? Why didn't the Democrats use it? And then you said also that the Democrats could have used it, but then they'd be implicated in these same parties or stuff like that with Epstein and all that. So
there's a way that you can narrow it to your enemies, and your guys don't get burned too.
Yeah.
So the consensus is, well, we're not going to release it. And as we said, or as I said last segment, I don't know if it's worth fighting if there are winnable battles on the horizon that can be pursued when something like this particular dragon to be slain, as you know, is the size of King Kong or Godzilla. And to date, at least, no one's been able to slay those particular dragons. And this seems to be tied up with the so-called elite in all the major industries of politics and economics, and potentially foreign powers, and even royalty, literally.
Yes, literally.
Not the fact of royalty we have here, but actual royalty in some major and potentially minor countries. With those types of stakes, can't see that information coming out unless somebody decides to put it on a jump drive or something and defect and put it on the internet or give it to
Thank you.
multimedia.
A third party has to do it at this point.
Maybe contact Candace Owens. I mean, who knows?
Thank you. Get a third party. Get someone on the inside. Give it to Candace Owens. Give it to the influencers. Let them dispense. I wouldn't even mind that, but it needs to be put out. I don't care if we have the Summer of Love 3.0. Get all this crap out so we know who it is, so people don't have faith. That's all I'm saying, and so we can clean up.
Sure, referencing your comment on the Republican plantation. Let's be very clear. Many Republicans do not consider themselves on a plantation. That's only for Democrats and black folks. And some say that's one and the same, but that would be another show for that particular.
Okay, I do agree with that term because there was a time where Republicans weren't cold. You know, the Tea Party, they rebelled against the Republican Party. You had Ron Paul, you had all this, but Trump was a rebellion against the neocons. But now, just like Anakin Skywalker became the Sith and Darth Vader, now you become, well, I can't say completely to the dark side, but you're 90% there. Because there's some good things you've done. There's some good things you've done, Trump. But I'm just saying you're 90% to the Sith. Basically.
It's an interesting time when you see leading figures on the left and the right question U.S. foreign entanglements.
Yeah.
To the extent that they are. It's almost unparalleled in American history. And the pushback that the Trump administration and Trump Republican governors and others around the country in state legislatures, you know, like here in Louisiana, you as a student take your academic and professional future in your hands if you protest Israel on campus.
Yes, you do.
Just protest Israel.
Yes, you do.
Protest Israeli policy. We're not policies. We're not saying, you know, waving flags and making statements in favor of the type of mass genocide attack we saw on October 7th. You know, this isn't equivocating because the other argument is that Gaza is a genocidal event also.
Mm-hmm.
As I tell people, I'm neutral on this issue. My war is a war outside my door with the violent community traitors who leftists allow to run loose in black communities, making the residents, black and of all colors, de facto human targets.
Yep.
That more than keeps me busy.
And I streamed from it, and like Tucker Carlson said, you should be focusing on the other side, you know, white drug addicts as well, the people who are overdosing, and you know, like a famous person, Muhammad Ali said, you know, you're my biggest enemy here, and no Korean has ever called me a jigger. You know what I'm saying? You know, so you know, is that
about foreign policy and love international relations along with virtually everything else under the sun. However, when our children are being gunned down in the streets, when our women are being carjacked, when mass shootings happen in front of our nightclubs, I don't see the hippies coming to join us in denouncing the violence and mobilizing against the traitors who commit it, whether it's to try to give them some sort of prevention or to protect ourselves against them. Never see the hippies and don't see their black pets either.
Some of them vote for it. Probably some of them vote for or try to condone it or try to bail them out or say they're just an unfortunate circumstance. So a lot of them probably will do that crap. So
yeah, you bail out the mass shooter, and then he goes and he kills somebody else. And again, you throw your hands up and say, gee, how did this happen? I didn't know that was going to happen. Sure, he's been shooting people since he was 15, but I didn't think he was going to do it after we bailed him out. I mean, this is the level of what I call people of delusion and thinking that we get on the left, and not an endorsement on the right, because again, the Trump cultists more than show that delusion and personality worship are as alive on the right as they are on the left. That's why I'm neither left nor right. I'm just old school black.
But Cap, I'm glad that you came on here, and I appreciate you coming with me. I'm about to put this video on YouTube and give it to, well, actually Rumble then YouTube. I only use YouTube to get clout. I really just want to be on Rumble, but I'm just using YouTube to get viewers. But I'm going to put it on both. Um, it was great talking to you again about this, and I hope we get some views on this. And
send me the links, and I will put them out on my X.
Thank you so much, Cap, and I hope you have a great night.
All hail the Chad.
Peace out.